So I'm here today with Jon Harol, the president of Lighthouse Lab Services, and we're going to talk a little bit about his broader views on the industry in anticipation of Lab Week. It's always a really exciting time for the medical laboratory community, and it'll be coming up next month with the theme of Back to the Laboratory from April 24th to 30th. So, Jon, welcome, and thanks for giving me a few minutes here today. All right, yeah. So to kind of jump into some of your broader views about, the current state of healthcare, something that jumped out to me a little bit when I was reading your bio on LinkedIn is that you immediately come right out and say healthcare in this country is broken. That's not exactly a controversial opinion these days, but I'm curious about what you think the causes of that breakdown are, and then maybe how you believe the medical laboratory community can be a part of the solution.
Yeah, it's really complicated. It's not an easy fix. I think if I was to boil it down to a few key, components, especially as it relates to the laboratory, I would say misaligned incentives, right? And so I think that with our commercial private payer system, the investment by the payers in long-term outcomes is not there, and you can't completely blame them because the patient normally changes insurance plans every couple of years, right? So there's really no incentive or no accountability for any group to invest in the long-term care. So something that would make sense to do as a test now that will pay off 30 years from now, it just doesn't, the math doesn't make sense with the way that our system is structured. I think if we had a system where the alignment was correct, I feel like you would probably get a whole genome genetic test or whole exome genetic test at birth and keep it with your medical record, right? But there's nobody wants to pay for that because the insurer that's going to pay for that when you're a baby probably is not going to be the insurer that's going to reap the benefits of it later on. So there's a lot of things like that where I feel like the incentives are misaligned. I also feel like our payer structure is so complicated that it makes it very difficult for some common sense. And so it's an extremely complicated system, and the data portion of it is really broken. There's the interoperability between EMRs and LISs just make it really difficult for any one healthcare provider to have a comprehensive view of the patient. There's really not a continuum of care. And I think if we had one repository where all of our healthcare data was going, you'd be able to see the lifespan of that patient. That's just not how it is now. There's reasons for that, and some of those things include, HIPAA and data privacy. And like as you think about, doing a whole exome sequence of a patient, there's some scariness there with they're going to have your genetic material and who has access to that. And HIPAA, good intentions to make sure that people's personal data is not available to people that it shouldn't, also helps or also hurts in the sense that it makes your data not real portable, right? And it also adds this layer of risk to touching that data that a lot of groups don't really want to touch. And so it makes it difficult for the sharing of information. And so I think those are a few of the reasons that healthcare is broken.